Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here this evening to address your group. You are the new tip of the spear. We are at a tipping point in this country. I'm happy to be here, and I'd like to be able to carry that with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Vic Stabile. I am the endorsed candidate by the State Republican Party for the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. For those of you who don't agree with endorsement, let me talk to you about my qualifications. First of all, let me tell you where I stand. I am pro-life. I am pro-Second Amendment. I am a member of the NRA, and I support traditional family. I will tell you that in terms of my educational background, that I went to the Dickinson School of Law in 1982. I was a member of the Law Review. When I graduated, I did an appellate judicial clerkship. In fact, it's the same type of work that I'm being asked to do now, running for an appellate judge. I did research and draft appellate decisions in our appellate courts as a young attorney. I then became a trial attorney in the Office of Attorney General, where I litigated cases in about 30 different courts around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as a Deputy Attorney General. I left that position and joined my present firm, Dilworth Paxson, where I've managed the Harrisburg office since 1992. I've been a partner. I am the only candidate in this race that is from Central Pennsylvania. The entire Superior Court has no representation except from Philadelphia and Allegheny County, with one exception in the Northeast, Sally Mundy, who was elected the last time around. I am the only candidate that is a lifetime Republican, and I am the only candidate that the State Bar Association recommended and commented that my appellate experience was solid. I have had cases in all state and federal courts. I've been in the appeals court for many years. I've got a case pending in the state Supreme Court right now. While I've never argued a case in the United States Supreme Court, I've had petitions up there. I have a broad base of experience in my legal practice, but I'm also committed to my community. I was the Republican Party chairman in Cumberland County for almost 11 years. I left that position in order to be able to run for judge. As a county chairman, I will tell you, I opened up the process for candidates. We went open a number of times. My reputation was a fiscal conservative, and I was fair. I also chaired the Board of Supervisors in Middlesex Township. Again, I've always been involved in my community. My reputation as a supervisor was, how can I help you? When you come into my board, that's my view of public service. How can we help you? Not what you can do for us. And when you leave, my comment to you is, if you have any problems, you come back to us. My judicial philosophy, strict construction, you apply the laws. If you want to make laws, you run for the legislature. Everybody's entitled to equal justice under law. And, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care who you are, where you're from, what your social status is, what your wealth is, or whether you're dirt poor. Lady Justice is blindfolded, not blind. You will get the same fair and thorough consideration for me as a judge that anybody else would get, ladies and gentlemen. I have done this work before, and I've been recommended based upon it. I'm happy. Please.
Why should we vote for you?
How much time do you have? Why should you vote for me? Because I'm qualified for the position. I have a deep breadth of legal knowledge. I've been recommended for the position, and my deep community service should tell you that I am one of you. I've shared your values. I have always been in the trenches in my community. I've always been in the front lines helping people with problems that nobody else will. I have represented widows against the United States government. I have represented orphans for structural reforms. I have represented disabled people. I have represented my neighbors, my neighborhoods. I did this all pro bono. The Bar Association, when they commented on me, noted that I had exemplary pro bono service. And just to give you an example, I represented a widow years ago. I spent 3.5 years of my life on a case. Her husband was killed in Desert Shield. Government went to her and said, "Madam, we're very sorry for your loss, but we can't pay you the rest of your government's bonus, his salary." He didn't finish his time with us. I was outraged by the case. I didn't even have to meet the lady. I spent 3.5 years of my life on that case. I took it through 2 federal courts, and I worked with a friend of mine in Washington, D.C. in order to try and get private legislation through. Ladies and gentlemen, I succeeded on that case. And between Thanksgiving and Christmas that year, I had the privilege to call this woman and tell her that the President of the United States and the Congress, based upon our efforts, gave her her husband's benefits. I've never even met the woman. Didn't have to. But I will tell you that Vic Stabile will always step up to the plate for somebody who's in need of an attorney. I have done it many times, and like I said, I'm the only candidate where the Bar Association complimented me on exemplary pro bono service. Ladies and gentlemen, I will never be rich practicing law. I still view it as a profession and not a business. You can ask people who know me. Go to my website, stabileforjudge.com, if you want to know more about me. But I'm your neighbor over here in Cumberland County. Ask people who know me. Ask people who know what my reputation is. Okay?
Hey,
Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you? I'm Scott Wagner, and I wanted to actually ask Judge Patrick this question, and I'm going to be very brief on this. All the judges in your position and also local are being elected for 10 years. I'm involved in some litigation actually in Dauphin County where a judge is, I believe, is not making decisions and is not being held accountable. What is the mechanism to remove a judge who has been elected for 10 years and the retention? I mean, I would like to know from all of the candidates who is holding you accountable, because if you want my honest opinion, it's a process. You're in for 10 years, you can be a bad, lazy judge. How can you be removed?
Let me give you a brief answer to that. That's a situation that should never have to be addressed with somebody in the judiciary. It's an internal matter in the courts. The Judicial Conduct Board is responsible for that. My understanding is that there is an internal process to report a judge that will get up to the state Supreme Court. They will send a message down to that trial judge to try and correct them. And if that doesn't happen, there can be disciplinary proceedings, I believe they are confidential, initiated against that trial judge. Scott, if you have that problem, you need to bring that judge to somebody's attention. That judge is there to do the public's work. That judge is there to see that justice is done, and not to sit there and wonder, when somebody else is going to come through over here when they're good and ready to do something. No. As a judge, you have to have a deep sense of humility. I can tell you, after almost 30 years of representing people, having real people, real cases in front of real courts, in trial and appellate courts, I know what it's like to be a litigant. I know how cases affect people. I have looked clients in the eyes. I have seen them cry, and I have seen them laugh with me as their counsel. And I'm proud of everybody that I have ever represented. You need to go internally to the courts and report this judge, and you need to stay on top of that until something is done. And that should never have to be the case with the judge that we put on the bench.
I have a question over here.
Yes,
For the
ma'am.
lady over here. You had mentioned you were the only bar associated recommended, but I believe that Judge Paul Patrick had said the same thing. So why the difference there?
What I said was that I was the only candidate recommended by the State Bar Association based upon my strong appellate experience. I think Judge Patrick said that she was the only candidate with appellate experience. I don't know if she's looked at the recommendations, but I have very strong appellate experience, both being in the appellate courts when I graduated and in my practice over 30 years. Like I said, I've been in state appellate courts, federal appellate courts, not only in Pennsylvania, but in other places as well. If you go online, you can look up the Bar Association recommendations, and you will see that I am the only candidate that the Bar Association recommended based upon what they said, quote, was solid appellate experience handling cases. So it was not that we weren't recommended. I was commenting on the aspect of appellate experience. They did particularly point that out with me. Did I clarify?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
How many people are there 3 running, right, for your position?
No, there's only 2.
2?
Yeah, there's 1 position available, and there are 2 of us that are running for the spot. On the Commonwealth Court, which you're going to hear from in just a moment, it's the same situation. There's 1 spot available, and there are 2 people running for that. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned my community service. I also serve on my parish council. I chair the Bishop's Lenten Appeal, and I was a former 3rd-degree Knight of Columbus. Yes, sir.
This may not be related to your position, but knowing the issues with the Black Panthers in Philadelphia, how do you think the Attorney General handled that situation?
Mr. Holder, I think it was appalling. I can tell you that I have spent years, again, on a pro bono basis, litigating election fraud cases. Last spring, we had cases involving the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, and the Tea Party. The Tea Party was a shill. It was a Democratic Party out of Pittsburgh who got a man from Williamsport and ran him as a Tea Party candidate and had all the Philadelphia unions sign his petitions. I was a part of the legal team, and by the way, I have headed up the Central Pennsylvania legal team for the Republican Party for years. I've gone into court many times on a pro bono basis. The fraud is appalling. We can't get any district attorney to do something about it. and we can't get the legislature to do something. Governor Rendell vetoed the voter ID law. I mean, and the fraud is rampant. Attorney General Holder, when I told you before that it's equal justice under law for everybody, shame on him. That case should have been treated like any other case of voter intimidation. There was clearly a double standard applied there and no valid explanation given. Intimidation is intimidation. I don't care who you are, what you look like, or where you come from. And if I'm sitting on the bench, I guarantee you that everybody will be treated by the same standard and they will be judged by our laws and our Constitution. And folks, I must tell you, I'm appalled right now to see the appellate courts revisiting issues on fundamental rights, issues which I thought were settled a long time ago, but if you follow Second Amendment cases, they're going back and deciding whether or not the Second Amendment applies to individuals. It's scary. 5-4, one vote. That's where, oh, I'm sorry. That's how tenuous our rights are right now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time and the opportunity to be here.